How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Fourever Arsenal podcast. Hope everyone is all good and well out there. We're back. It's the usual for me, Jordan, Lee, and James. Hit the like button before we get going, people, and make sure you leave a comment for comment of the week. We're going to go through a comment of the week every single week. But before we do, Jordan, Lee, James, all good?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of tired faces, a lot of tired heads right now. I can tell. This is you lot's fault. You lot want to do 8 a.m. fucking streams. Yeah.
Whose fault?
It's these two over that side.
Yeah. It's the right. If
it's
side.
not one, it's the other.
It's the workers, it's the grafters.
It's the grafters, mate. That's right. It's all right. I'm with Lee.
Is that what you call it? Is that what you call guys to talk with Robbie for an hour about some invincible rubbish? Is that what you call grafting?
Oh, it's invincible rubbish now, is it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because obviously, like, this is a rival with the Fourever Arsenal. Like, right, it's rubbish now. Like, yeah. Right.
Lee, you're gonna have to make a choice soon enough, mate. I'm just lining you up for that choice.
Oh, like, you know, that's a difficult one, like, you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
For one podcast.
You're gonna have to let Robbie down gently, mate. Just work out how you're gonna do it. But
I'll start by today by not turning up.
Yeah, go back to bed.
Right.
Go back to bed. I do love the Fourever Arsenal, though, like, quality. I just want to say that, you know, thanks to everybody that come up to me yesterday. Bigging up the show and the podcast. One of the fellas I know was Jake, who was a big fan. So thanks for you know, what I do. Thanks for coming up and saying that, giving us the time and saying, you know, the Fourever car. And very complimentary of Jordan as well. Some of them. That was in the pub about 10:30. No, that was all very complimentary of all of us. So it's very nice, you know what I mean, when you hear that, like, you know. So big up to those people that come up to me about that yesterday.
Yeah, man, it is nice. We really appreciate all the support, all the love that we get for this podcast. Glad that you're happy that we brought it to YouTube, people. And yeah, Lee, let's just go straight back to you because you was at the game. Good performance.
Yes and no, really. I think it's difficult to really judge yesterday. Like, you know, the stadium was more fuller than what I thought it was for a 6 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to be honest. So big up to the Arsenal fans for making the effort and getting there. I thought it was a difficult game. Yes, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I just felt that PSV come with no ambition to get a result. Now they played very much similar like to what Spurs did with no ambition, but Spurs have got that cutting edge with what they've got up front. But PSV come along yesterday and just sat in there, didn't really hardly cause us any problems. So I wasn't actually worried that they might nick one on the break. It never looked like they was going to do that. But at times it actually looked like we wasn't going to be able to break them down. I know we had a few good chances. I didn't think we really caught any really clear-cut chances. You know, a couple of good saves from the keeper. Jesus got into some good positions and I thought fluffed his lines, if I'll be honest, and a couple of shots that he had that weren't quite powerful enough. And then the man that we're not allowed to name, or well, I certainly will name him, like Granit Xhaka, came up with a right foot shot. Fantastic finish, by the way. I watched it again last night when I got him. Brilliant finish. He's just getting better and better, and he's just, you know, every game he plays, he's not, if he's not the best player on the pitch, he's in the top 2 or 3. You know, he's really leading by example. I thought he was fantastic again yesterday. Some good performances. I thought Holding played really well at the back, but can you judge anybody from that? You know, I looked at it yesterday. Turner, by the way, he didn't have to make a save. So as well as, you know, we got the job done, we didn't blow the team away. And is it becoming a concern? Not at the moment because we're winning games, but we haven't played to that level that we had done a few weeks ago. Like, you know, I think that the Liverpool and Tottenham game, I think the better opposition that we play, I think, and the intensity, I think Arsenal will go to that level. But I'm not going to lie, these last 3 performances have been fantastic. But I am slightly worried going into the game against Southampton if we produce that level of performance. You know, somehow we've got to pick it up again. But I was very disappointed with PSV. Like, you know what I mean? They just didn't come with any ambition. And is that something that we're going to have to get used to?
Is it worryingly that what you said about picking ourselves up for the bigger games?
Slightly. I'm going to say, like, I looked at the game against Leeds. We looked a little bit jaded. And do you know what, with this team at this moment, because we're doing so well, I'm looking for excuses more than I would be in the past. Sometimes I go, this ain't good enough or whatever, but I am looking for excuses all the time. So I'm gonna continue to do that. I am concerned that if we play like we did, like in these last couple of games, we're going to get caught out in one of these games. And we've got game. I'm going to say this now. Sunday, I can't emphasise how big this game is Sunday. Not for winning the title and all that, for our top four ambitions, because we have Southampton who are in the bottom 3 or 4 that are not very, very good. The 4 teams below us play each other. So it's so important that we win that game. Chelsea got Man United, Tottenham have got Newcastle. Now, they're all rivals for the top 4. I don't care what anybody says, along with Liverpool. They're all playing each other. If we was to win on Sunday, and then, well, guaranteed 2 of them are going to drop points, if not 4. It's such a big game to get us into that more points than we ever dreamed of, if I'll be honest, going into the World Cup as in the top 4 contention, let alone going for the title or whatever. So it is a massive game. And, I don't know what it was yesterday. There was something missing yesterday, whether it was because it was 6 o'clock, because there was a bit of pressure on the game. Now, that was a massive game yesterday for us to get through, to win the group and all that, and that's why I think Mikel took it very, very serious. I don't know. I feel that the opposition were very, very cautious, and we're going to have to get used to a few games like that Turkish, when we're going to have teams are going to come in and sit in and defend. If teams come and attack us, which they, like the Liverpools and Tottenhams did when they was like goal. Well, Tottenham didn't. Let's forget they didn't, but other teams have. We've destroyed them. We've played around them and that. So I think it's something that we're going to have to get used to. One thing that did worry me yesterday, where I think those performances, if I go back to Brentford and I go back to a few of them, first 10 minutes, we was like all over these teams like a rash. We was all over Liverpool and Tottenham in the first sort of 10 minutes. And then if you remember, even the Liverpool game, Liverpool gradually got back into it. Haven't done that in the last 3 games, and we've struggled.
Yeah. And 3 away games out of the 4, that leads us to the World Cup break in the league anyway. Our away performances have been solid, to say the least. 4 wins out of 5, 4 clean sheets out of 5, the one slip up being the United one. But you are right. I think recent performances cause for concern, because if we continue, then one team will catch us out eventually. So it's something to look out for. Jordan, as I watched the game with James yesterday, let me get your thoughts on it.
That's the best he's ever said that. I am absolutely mind blown by that.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
Because
wow. Can we cut that and edit that, because that is just sensational.
Shut up.
Got a clip ready there.
I often get like a dry throat, so I cough, and I'm trying to cough on the stream. So I put myself on mute. I'll start again. What I was saying, it's insightful, searing analysis from my good self. I agree with Lee. I think it has been a slight concern the last couple of games. We've struggled to get into 3rd and 4th gear. I'm not going to make too much of a big deal of it at the moment. Teams go through this, and we are winning, and there are 3 clean sheets in there as well. So it's not all bad, and you're not going to batter everyone, and it must be difficult to come out of the traps the way we have done, as Lee says, every single game on one. That must be difficult to maintain. But a slightly, I say bigger concern, but something else I'm keeping an eye on is Gabriel Jesus. We've lauded him, highly and rightfully in the first handful of games of the season, and he's a phenomenal player. But I'm just getting a little bit concerned now about the amount of chances he's getting, and I think that we have to. If we're going to have this game whereby he drops deep, does some phenomenal link-up play, back to goal, turns, and links up with other players, the other 3 players, if you like, Odegaard, Saka and Martinelli are going to have to chip him with lots of goals, because if he's not going to get 25 goals, we're going to need 12 to 15 from Saka and from Martinelli, and maybe 10 from Odegaard. Or we need him to play a little bit closer to the goal and be a bit more of a box player, because his chances percentage has gone down in the last few games. He's not getting as many chances as he was in the first few games at the club. So I'm a little bit concerned that he's not getting the chances that he was getting earlier on. I think that's fine. His link-up play is to be almost a Harry Kane type figure where he's supplying. But if we're going to play that game, we then have to get 15 goals from Martinelli. We have to get 15 goals from Saka. We have to get goals from elsewhere, because his goal tally will slightly dip. So I'm keeping an eye on Gabriel Jesus to see if he can, get back to getting the 3-4 chance to game that he was getting in the early part of the season. But yeah, clean sheets are good.
Do you think he's? Because I said it to James yesterday. Because I do agree with you. But at the same time, I look at the goals spread out elsewhere already this season. Martinelli a few, Saka a few, Odegaard a few, Xhaka a few. So all the players around him are either scoring around the same or more than.
And that's fine. I think we were all hoping that he would get 20. And I think the current way we're playing and the way he's playing, I don't see him getting 20. I see him getting 15 max, and that's okay if the others get 12 or 10. Do you know what I mean? That's fine if the goals are being shared around. So that's something I've noticed in the last couple of games. To be fair, I think the Leeds game, I'm not quite sure if he was fully fit anyway. So maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on him. But yeah, it wasn't a great performance last night. But I'm not mad at that. I think if we move on to Southampton and we can try and play our way out of this slight malaise we're going through, then I think we'll be fine. I think Lee makes another good point about capitalizing on the other teams dropping points, because they're playing each other, so there will be dropped points amongst our rivals. We have to beat Southampton to make sure that we can try and increase our lead on our rivals.
Yeah,
football's so interesting, isn't it? Like, sorry, can you guys hear me? I'm worried about this lag with the internet, but football's so fascinating, okay? Because I took quite a bit in terms of people in the comments when I was very critical of the way we played against Leeds in that second half. And, I referred to it as luck, and other people refer to it as grinding out a win and all that. And now I'm on the slightly different side to Lee and Jordan again when it comes to this performance. I thought we were good. I thought for 90 minutes, it was all us. Did we create a great handful of chances? No. Well, more in the second half for sure. I think it could easily have been 2-3. Yeah, probably 2 or 3-0 would have been a fair reflection for the amount we dominated. And you got to think we made quite a few changes as well, even though we had a lot of the core of the first team in there. I thought we were good. I thought we were more than worthy of the win. I'm with Leah. PSV surprised me. They didn't offer as much. Anyway, they not. Let's be honest, right? I think when we go away from home, it will be different. But I thought they'd do more at home. I predicted a 3-2. They did near nothing. And I think I saw quotes from Van Nistelrooy that really wasn't the plan. They wanted to play higher up the pitch and whatever, but the way we played, they had to drop back and try and deal with it. I thought we were good. I think we could easily have had a third or fourth. But I guess my question, I'm being all petty now, is when I said that Leeds performance, that second half was lucky, that first half from Arsenal, did PSV earn that? Were PSV brilliant and deserving of 0-0 at half time? By the way, we didn't have a single shot on target in that first half, but it was all Arsenal. We looked the only team likely to score, and it was one-way traffic the whole time. I went into half time thinking we could and should easily be 1 or 2 up here. And mind you, PSV are the underdogs. So, my point is, I think it's just perception is very interesting of what people look for in football. And the point I'm trying to make everyone is that it's all about opinions and everyone sees things slightly differently. I have a much more positive take from that first half and the 90 minutes in general. It was all Arsenal. We were all over them. And yeah, we should have had a third or fourth. I think if Jesus had his shooting boots on a little better, he gets a couple last night. Thought Saka was mesmerizing. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. Vieira first half I thought was pretty good / very good. And I think a conversation on Eddie Nketiah and Lokonga is worth in a sec, because I don't quite get why they got the amount of criticism they got last night just from sections of social media that I saw. But I thought it was good. I thought it was a better performance than Bodo Glimt and Leeds for sure. And what's interesting, I guess we'll find out next week, is whether PSV aren't that great or we made PSV really not that great, because I thought they'd do more, and we had them pinned in their third for the whole game.
Is it a bit concerning? Sorry, Turkish. It just quick. Is it a bit concerning, you guys, that Eddie Nketiah, in the games he's playing in the Europa League and the cameos he's coming on for in the Premier League, I think he's got one goal this season. Has he got one goal this season? I think it's one goal he's got.
I want to say two.
Is it two?
Zurich and Bodo Glimt to home.
Okay. Should he have more? Because I'm just thinking, if Gabriel Jesus, if he's out for any length of time, Nketiah is going to be the guy who's going to lead the line. And I think he's looked really lively. I think he's definitely, I don't think he's played poorly. I think when he's come on, even if he hasn't scored, he's looked a threat. But should he have a couple more goals? Are we concerned that our backup striker, the drop seemingly in terms of goal output, is quite vast?
I was concerned as soon as who was it? Was it Fabrizio? As soon as he said in the summer that after Jesus and the new contract for Eddie, that's it in the striker department. And I was worried from then. And obviously the start to the season has kind of pushed those worries to the side. But you're right to ask it. It's just that sometimes, well, I say sometimes, some fans in good moments, if you question some of the concerns you have, they dwell on that. Because even yesterday, it's not even like it was a concern for me. I mentioned Xhaka's goal, and literally a few minutes before Xhaka's goal, Jesus had a similar kind of opportunity in the box where he scuffed it. He made a few chances off his own back. He scuffed a few. And I said, Xhaka showed him how it's done. And I got a few comments saying, this is why AFTV is toxic. Oh, you're back to being negative again. I'm just thinking, fucking hell, mate. I haven't even said anything. I haven't even said anything mad. All I've said is, Xhaka showed him how it's done. It was a beautiful finish. So people will take, with Eddie, I'm third choice striker I was happy with. I think we needed a different type of second choice. I mentioned Patrick Schick a lot. He signed a contract. Tony was another option just because they bring something different. But I guess, Arteta was happy with the similarities, hoping that not much would change tactically or I guess.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I will say this about yesterday, and it's, when we're talking here, we're not criticising. It's just we're just making observations, and I will say this: even though we didn't have any shots on target in the first half, and we got the job done in the one that I never sat there yesterday thinking this was going to be 0-0. I always thought that we'd find a way, and that's a compliment in the team at the moment. Like, I felt that our defence looks so much more solid that we don't look like we're going to get caught. And it was games over the last few years when you're thinking, we're on something, and you'd be turning around, they're going to nick one in a minute, they're going to hit us on the break. It doesn't look like that. We do look very, very comfortable in possession. I think James makes a great point there. What Van Nistelrooy said is that we pegged them back, and the game plan probably wasn't to sit back like that. No one knows, but it's nice that we've forced them into doing that. And we did create chances yesterday, whether they're made on their own or whatever. In the second half, we looked a better side for it and all that. But I'm a little bit worried about Jesus as well, because I don't think he's scoring. He had a sitter against Leeds. He's I love him as a player and all that. I don't think he is going to get us 20 goals this season. Unless he has a little cluster of games and all that. I did actually think that he would score a hat-trick by now, from the beginning of the season, we was getting so many chances. They have dried up a little bit, and maybe that is because he's trying to get involved in the play a little bit more than maybe he needs to. But I think that's the way Arsenal play, isn't it? Like to possession based, they're going to dominate and all that. And I'm going to say it now. I thought Eddie played really well yesterday. I don't know where all that.
Thank you. I'm with you, Lee. I'm with you. And by the way, I'm clearly in the minority because from what I saw online, a lot of people were not convinced, but I'm with you. I thought he looked good.
I'm not saying he played poorly.
No, you're not, Jordan, but others are.
No. I'm just, I think in the first half, 3 or 4 times he burst through, looked very, very pacey, very, very lively. Yes, he didn't. The chances didn't really fall to him, but like he wasn't really in the 6-yard box for those. He was sort of bringing other players into play. I think he played left-hand side, which is what we predicted. Certain people did. Someone said that he wouldn't, but I don't want to slag him off for that. Like it was Jesus down the middle. So he was playing
That was
slightly
Julian, wasn't it?
Slightly out of position yesterday,
He's coming for
but I think
Julian.
he's done all right. I don't know why people are really
Lee,
getting onto his back. Look,
I'm with you. Sorry, I've got to bounce on that point there. I'm with you. Listen, I said in the watch along yesterday, and I do retract it. I said Nketiah, I was trying to defend Nketiah. I said Nketiah's been better than Jesus today. Now, in hindsight, no, he wasn't. But I think for the levels I expect of Jesus to what I expect of Eddie, with all due respect, I think Eddie was nearer what I expect than Jesus. I think because some of his finishing was a bit all over the place, but of course he's played very well, build up and created a lot of his own chances and all that. On Eddie though, I just, and it's the same with Lokonga. I'm not saying, because Turk made a great point to watch on yesterday. We don't have to wrap these players in cotton wool just because they're young, and whenever we want to criticize them, we know it's like, oh, don't do it, because we should be able to just say how we feel about their performances. But at the same time, I do think context is applied, and I saw some of the comments coming through on the watch along and people on social media talking about Lokonga. Some people saying sell him, some people saying he's not good enough, blah blah. Some people saying, oh, the drop is immense when Partey's out, and Nketiah, okay, playing on the left, but Martinelli and Partey are playing at superb levels at the moment. And Lokonga and Nketiah both are actually playing out of position. Nketiah's a striker, but he's doing a job on the left wing because Jesus is playing up front. Lokonga's not a number 6. He should be playing that box-to-box role. And we actually saw in pre-season he looked pretty good when he played in that position. And I just sort of think, if you're not particularly moved by their performances, that's fine. But I don't understand where this idea that, oh, they were crap, they were rubbish comes from. I don't get it. Eddie, you're right. How many times he was running at players, willing to take them on? I see criticism of Jadon Sancho from Man United, some Man United fans or other or rivals who watch Man United saying he's not taking players on at the moment. That might be a confidence thing. I appreciate the level of opposition and all that. But I see Eddie and he's positive. He's trying to run at players. He's trying to make things happen. That ball, when it was played over the top and he took it with his chest, went past 2 or 3 players, and then his strike, okay, ended up going quite far wide, but fair play to him. He's running in behind. He's trying to make things happen. And okay, there's a drop when it's Eddie and Lokonga instead of Jesus and Partey, but didn't we know that? That's, if anything, that's criticism of maybe the recruitment or the money spent to make sure that we have the really suitable backups. But I personally think you're not always going to have really suitable backups. And it's not a criticism of the players. I think they're doing fine. I don't know. I just want to defend them a little bit because they're playing out of position.
I need to say something on the
fine.
Conga as well, because I think he is getting a lot of criticism. And he didn't do himself justice again yesterday. And the party
did he do anything wrong? I don't think he did anything wrong, really.
No, the party comes on and we look a lot better. But the fact of the matter is, because of Partey's injury concerns, you can't play him alongside Partey, do you know what I mean? Because we can't get Partey playing 3 games a week. So when it comes to the Europa League game, he ain't playing alongside Partey where Xhaka is. It's he's playing a lot better because of Partey in there. I would actually like, before I judge him, go, right, play Partey and then see what he does in that role there. Whenever he comes into this team or plays in this team, is when Partey's out. And there's look, he's not as good as Partey and all that. And I get that because I'll probably say the same. But ultimately, I'm not going to judge him yet until he plays alongside Partey. But the reason that Partey, that he's getting games is because they leave Partey out because they're putting him in cotton wool. And he's not actually playing alongside the best midfield player that we've got in that role. He's having to replace him all the time. And I think we need to see that.
I've got a question for you guys. Do you think it's a blessing or a curse that the Man City game has been postponed?
Neither.
I would have liked to have played it.
No, I'm happy playing it later. I don't really mind.
Yeah, initially I thought it's a blessing, and I still lean more towards that direction.
Okay, yeah, same as me. I was thinking about it last night because people were saying, "Oh, this would have been a good time to play Man City. Arsenal are on, playing really well. Could Arsenal have beaten City in this form? Are you going to be this good in a month or 2 months' time? Blah blah blah." But I think I'd rather kick that fixture down the road and just try and bank as many 3 points as possible to secure top four as quickly as possible before we play. And it's not running scared, or maybe it is, but I think the priority is still top four. And I just thought that in a week where we was meant to play Manchester City and we're playing generally quite well. I know the Leeds game was a bit of a mare, but and mare I mean MEH, not MARE. I just thought maybe it was interesting to kind of find out from the fan base if they'd have rather taken that fixture now when we are playing well, or as I lean towards, actually just try and delay it for as long as possible and try and get points in the bag.
It's a great point, but with us not playing it, it actually benefited us. Like the league got better without us even playing because Chelsea dropped points, Tottenham dropped points, so it wasn't a bad day without us playing. You know what I mean? Like so. It means that it's if we can get something from that game, that'd be a massive bonus, whether it be whenever it will be. But I would like to have played it because I think that I think that the likes of Jesus. I'm going to say this now, maybe not, because I'm going to say this now. I thought Tierney done okay yesterday, but I think we're missing Zinchenko. I really do. I don't think that we're quite as fluent when he's not in the side. I feel we're not. When we take on City, we've got to have our best 11 available, and it's not there at the moment. We've Zinchenko.
Well, bar Zinchenko, we are probably at full fitness, and when we do play City, you could argue, are we going to have 90% pretty much full squad? Do you know what I mean? The chance of that happening is slim. Partey may be out for that game. Jesus, do you know what I mean? So anyway, I just
Turkish and I took some time to do some live research on one of the AFTV live shows, looking at which clubs have what players going to the World Cup and how many were likely to be starters and how far they'd go, and we basically tried to put to bed this narrative that this World Cup is like the worst thing ever for Arsenal. Quite frankly, it could impact everyone. But if it were to have the worst possible impact on every single Big Six club, let's say, it's the other five that have far more players, or bar Liverpool maybe, who are going and should be more worried than us, quite frankly. So,
interesting.
If it's to be kicked back to January, you'd think Arsenal are going to be a slightly better position because City's fixture list in January looks horrendous. I think they've got United, Chelsea, Spurs all away from home in January. So if you chuck the Emirates in there as well, that's a bad month for them. You'd still back them to win all four of those games. That's what's crazy about it. But well, not us, because we're the mighty Arsenal. But yeah, so listen, it is what it is. I'm kind of with you, Jordan. It's not that no points are guaranteed, but it kind of somehow, without kicking a ball, that league table started to look a little bit better after Wednesday night. So that was Lee's point. But yeah. It's whatever it is. I think if we played that game, I think no matter what, we'd be sitting here feeling pretty good about our position.
Yeah, on the Eddie and Lokonga stuff, I just feel like I get the fans that are being more critical than I do the fans that are kind of being nicer nowadays, because they're backups to essential positions. And somewhere down the line, in big games, in games in the league, we're going to need to rely on them.
That's my concern.
Think setting a higher standard for them in these games and expecting more from them in particular in these. It's not like it's they're Marquinhos and Vieira where it's their first season. They're being like kind of bled through and whatnot. I just feel like there should be more there. But at the same time, I don't dwell on it because we're winning the games.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. It's just a cause for concern moving forward. But the January window opens in 6 games, essentially.
But
and to be fair,
sorry, go on.
To be fair to Nketiah as well, he did show last year when we needed him to step up. Okay, we didn't go out and get top 4, but he did show that when he was brought in, that he could score some key goals. So my concern is that at some point we're going to need to rely on Nketiah, and I guess I'm just asking: do we have faith that if we're still in a top 4 race, title race, 4, 5, 6 games in a row, do we think he is good enough to spearhead? Do you know what I mean? Our attack. And yeah,
But
I don't know.
I just think context is so important to all these things. So if the question is, do I? So me personally, do I trust Nketiah to be back up to Jesus? Well, what does that mean? Does it mean starting 5 to 8, maybe 10 Premier League games this season? No, call it 5 to 8. Yeah, I'm fine with that. If it's Jesus is out for a couple months, touch wood, you hope not. And he got to start 15 of them. Okay, no, now we start to get into the territory of that's probably quite a drop, and that's 15 times 3. I'm not going to do the maths. However many points, that's a much bigger impact. So, but then with that comes a degree of bad luck. If Jesus is missing 15 Premier League games, then that's really unfortunate. Something's happened there, and you'd hope a January window or something would help address that. On Lokonga, we know that they wanted a holding midfielder. That's no secret. They tried to get Douglas Luiz, 3 bids on deadline day. They knew that Lokonga wasn't the answer as a holding midfielder, but they thought El Neni certainly could do a job in the short term because they gave him a 1-year extension that he was happy to accept. And El Neni ended the season playing pretty well. I think looked as good a Partey backup as we've seen from anyone who's tried to be over the last 2.5, 3 years. But he got injured. So, I think it's one of those things. Like, I get what everyone's saying, but Eddie's not expected to probably start more than 5 to 8 Premier League games this season, at least up front. And Lokonga's not expected to start that regular as a holding midfielder because El Neni's meant to be fit. And we've just seen Xhaka. Look at us all talking about how much better Xhaka looks when he's been put up the field, removed from that defensive responsibility and that anchor man who's meant to control everything. And I don't know why we've got this prime example of a player that for 6 years, for me, not let me down, that's harsh, but I didn't get what I needed out of him personally. And now I'm seeing completely transformed Xhaka. I can't imagine the Arsenal 11 without him right now. And we're looking at Lokonga and not just appreciating that maybe it's the role. Maybe if we just move him and we let him develop a little bit, we might see a different player. And I'm seeing calls to sell him. I know you're not saying that, Turkish, but I'm seeing, sell him. He's not good enough. I'm thinking, but we can see right now why patience is sometimes, I don't know, why it's necessary.
El Neni's been a big blow, losing El Neni.
I think
getting injured because he would have been playing all these Europa League games. When people go, oh, why has El Neni signed a new 1-year contract? One of the reasons he was signed was to play these group games. One, to get match time and and back up in the Premier League, but also to give everybody a bit of a break and a rest. And unfortunately, he's been injured. So he would play that holding role. And then probably Lokonga would play in place of Xhaka. And then you'd have Vieira. That would be that would have been the planned midfield going into these Europa League games. But and all the 3 main guys would have had a rest. I've been on the bench and whatever, but they've not been able to do that with El Neni not being there, and it's meant that Lokonga's had to change his game and he's had to go in. And more worryingly, it's meant that one of the main midfield players, mainly been Xhaka, has had to play more 90 minutes than probably was what was necessary or even planned. So and the disappointing thing for me now with El Neni is El Neni had come back when really his job was for these games, So yeah. So it's just that an injury hasn't helped Lokonga, in that respect, you know what I mean? So
don't forget sub appearances. I mean, think of all the times that Partey and Xhaka, you feel like in games against Leeds or 2-1 up against Fulham and Villa at home. Although I think El Neni was fit for one of them. But there's just been a couple games where you probably would think he would have brought him on, to see out the last 20 minutes, to, give Xhaka and Partey 20 minutes less. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's funny we're talking about El Neni in this way, with all due respect. But, yeah, I think his injury is sort of impacted the flexibility Arteta has with playing with those positions. And I do think it's impacted Lokonga. Look, I agree. We are not seeing Lokonga step into these easier games and blow us away. And we want to see that. We want to see him come in and be thinking, oh, wow, this is the player that he can develop into. We need to see potential. But I think there is potential there. I feel some of the criticism lacks a little context from no one here on this podcast, just other things I've seen.
Instead, his performances have us ruin El Nene's injury, which is kind of for me. It's kind of like
I get what you're saying.
it's just show me more, show me more and knock on the door a bit, because we know Partey, we know his injury problems, but it is what it is. We move.
I do get that.
Because Southampton away is a big one. Off the back of that Europa League performance, we went particularly strong. But I don't think any of the fringe players really knocked on the door for a starting berth in the Premier League. So how would thoughts on the lineup moving forward into the Southampton game? Anyone?
I just think there's one area, isn't there? Everybody else picks itself at the moment, and is who you go at left back.
Yeah. How was Tierney's performance for you guys?
Well, it was good. I thought it was good. I thought,
okay,
yeah, nice.
I think he could have done more. I didn't really see him. I didn't see him attacking as much as I'm used to, but I guess he comes in a lot more. So I guess I have to get used to a different Kieran Tierney. And I just got used to seeing Kieran Tierney bomb down the left, get low crosses in, sometimes dink it back post. Now he more so comes inside to aid the attack. So I'm not sure if.
I just make a point. That's a great point you make, because I was going to bring this up. I watched Tommy Asu on the right hand side. He never done none of that, and it's like that's fine. Tommy Asu played really well. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we're pushing because we play a lot more down the left hand side. It's more, he's got to attack more. He's got to attack more. By the way, I thought Tommy Asu defended fantastically well yesterday. Every time the ball come up in the air, he wins those balls. He showed to me yesterday what a very, very good right back he is defensively. But he doesn't get forward as much as
good assist for
Xhaka.
Good assist for Xhaka though. Tommy Asu. Love.
Yeah. He did, but he doesn't do it constantly. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm with you. He doesn't.
He doesn't do it constantly, but I thought he was brilliant yesterday at right back. But like, people look at Tierney and go, is he getting forward as much? And I just think it's because Zinchenko's come to the club and gets forward. I don't know. I'm not having a criticism here or that. I felt Tierney done well, but straight away people go, he didn't do this and didn't do that. But then I'll look at Tommy and he done exactly the same yesterday, but defended well.
With Tierney, I think he's got to start Southampton. And this might sound a bit crazy, because Tommy Asu didn't blow me away against Leeds. I thought he was fine, not as good as Liverpool. And Tierney against PSV was fine. Again, I don't think either of them in our last two games have said to me, that is definitely my outcome. What Tierney, I think, offers is, even if it's just a psychological thing for Southampton, it's that sense of, but he might overlap and go the other way and stretch the pitch and start to cause problems. We might just mix it up. Xhaka might drop in, our left winger comes inside, and Tierney starts bombing up and down the left wing. And I think he's got that balance on that left-hand side a little bit more naturally than Tommy Asu does as a left-back when it comes to, I'm going to tuck in and do the Zinchenko thing. But, every now and again, I might just pop down that left-hand side and get a cross into the box. And just for that reason alone, I think you want to be tactically flexible in games. And I think you want to offer different problems to the opposition. I think with Tommy Asu, he's not going to overlap that much. Did it once or twice against Liverpool, but barely. So Tierney's got to play for me.
I'm not sure, because Southampton cross a lot. They cross the ball a lot. They've got Shea Adams and the other guy up front. And they like their diagonal crosses to try and hit their big men. So and that's an area of the pitch, as Lee says, where Tommy Asu is really, really good. He's really good in the air. He's really good at dealing with far post crosses. So that would make me want to lean towards Tommy Asu. But then James makes a good point that I think we need that threat going forward, which I think Tierney offers more so. I mean, Do we go conservative first and then stay in the game and then kill them at the end, or do we take it to them from the get go and then go tighter and defensive once we have a lead? I think Tommy Asu is playing really well at the moment, so I would tend to lean towards starting him. But I wouldn't be angry. I wouldn't be upset if Tierney started. I wouldn't. That's the luxury we've got at the moment. I literally, it doesn't really matter who we play. I'd expect a performance from any of our fullbacks right now. It's the question of, do you want someone that defensively is slightly more sound, or someone that kind of offers something going forward? So I wouldn't really be that bothered, whoever starts of the two at left back.
I agree. I think physically, if not necessarily long balls is Southampton's game, but if getting it to the big man in the box is their game, then I guess Tomiyasu would probably be the right fit just in case, especially the long back post crosses as well. But it's a balance. So what? James would pick Tierney. I'd probably go with Tierney because he's my guy, but with Tomiyasu, I really don't mind either. Jordan, who would you go with?
Opposite. Tierney's my guy, but I'd go Tomiyasu. I'd go Tomiyasu just on this one.
I'm going to go Tierney because I just feel that we'll probably have a little bit more possession. I felt against Leeds we didn't have as much. We had as much possession, particularly in the first half. And every time Tomiyasu getting the ball, he's trying to come inside and all that. Like we've got to open up the left flank, get it in there early for Tierney. For Martinelli to go. There is a possibility that Zinchenko may be fit. I think that would be very harsh on Tomiyasu and Tierney if he was to walk straight back in the side. So for me, Tierney. I just think, left back is a left back. But, listen, Tomiyasu has in the last couple of games has reminded me what a very, very good defender he is. Very, very good defender.
Our Premier League away game before the away game before Leeds was Brentford. Tierney that we had complete control for the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And I remember the narrative before. Well, they go long and direct with Mbemo and Tony, and they're good in the air and the crosses, and White and Tierney dealt with it. But the big way in which we dealt with it was by having the ball the whole time. Now Tomiyasu, I actually think is pretty safe and secure in possession, but I think it's about being able to mix it up, being able to shape up in different ways. And I just think with Tomiyasu and left back, we're a little bit more limited in how we can shape up down that left-hand side. So a repeat of Brentford would be nice. But Southampton got the win, didn't they, the other night? Who did they?
Yeah.
Bournemouth away.
Yeah.
That's a good win because Bournemouth has turned things around after Scott Parker. And I was very critical of that sacking, but things have clearly turned around for Bournemouth. With Southampton, it feels like every time Hassan Hootel, is it gone stale now? Is his time up? He always sort of digs out a result and a mini run. And they can go on these mini runs, Southampton. So I say mini runs, they can be quite lengthy runs sometimes. But it's, I don't think it's going to be easy. And you're right, they can be quite direct, and they've got quite a few new signings as well. I think it's an interesting test.
That Lavia guy looks quite lively as well. We need to keep an eye on him. Is it Lavia or Lavia?
Something like that.
Yeah, he looks like he could be. He might need some attention.
They are a very young team. They're the only team that's better than us on average as well this season. So
is that right?
Yeah.
I just want to
Project Youth at St Mary's.
Just changing the subject quickly. I just want to bring up Steven Gerrard's sacking yesterday. Very young manager. Same sort of results as Arteta has having a couple of seasons ago, but we sort of backed Arteta, didn't we? And they didn't. So, I've got to say this, on the Arteta thing, but it's more about we did back him, you know what I mean? I know I was one that thought we should have been sacked for those results going back at that time, but we did back him.
A few times, Lee. A few times you did.
Yeah. All right, Jordan, thank you. And rightly so, you know what I mean? Because it's a results business and whatever. But you have to say that for whatever reason it was, the backing of the manager, I looked at it yesterday and I thought, maybe Villa should have kept with him, because I think that what Arsenal have done is sort of made me feel that we given a bit of patience and going through that pain of those defeats and everything like that, has been a good thing for us because look at us now.
I think the difference though is, Lee, and I've been very honest about being an Arteta supporter and backed him, even when arguably I shouldn't have backed him, and it was quite clear he was struggling. The reason why I backed him, the difference between him and Steven Gerrard is, even when we were losing games, I could still see what he was trying to do. Whether he'll be able to achieve it and get to where we are now, is a different discussion. But I could see what he was trying to do. Steven Gerrard, I don't know what Steven Gerrard Villa team is. I was watching the game. I was on air last night, and I was watching the game as we were on air. And Fulham battered them. They should have been 4-0 up in the first 20 minutes. If Fulham are battering you, with all due respect, come on, that's not a good sign. I think the reason why he had to go was because I don't see enough green shoots of, okay, we're struggling, but I can see Steven Gerrard turning this around because I can see what he's trying to do. I don't think anyone at Villa could see what he was trying to do. I don't think he's a very good manager. I think he's very good in the dressing room for, pumping you up and getting you going and rousing team talks at halftime when you're 1-0 down. But in terms of tactical nows, I'm not sure he's got it. And I know he won a title in Scotland, but with all due respect, it's Scotland. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a different level, and I'm just not sure he showed enough that he could turn it around. Whereas Arteta, even when we were poor in those early couple of years, I always could see, if you stick with him, I can see what he's trying to do. And that, I think, for me, is the difference between the two. You stick with a guy that you think is struggling, but there's something there. With Gerrard, I'm just not sure there was anything there.
And everyone forgets that in Arteta's start, because that autumn was bad. What was it, like 1 win in 11 league games awful. Or something? It was. I mean, that was like, I've never known a time like it as an Arsenal fan. But people forget, he started when things were really bad in the 1920 season. The pandemic happened and everything was just a bit strange, obviously, with football coming back, but there were no fans. It was very hard to kind of actually determine, well, how real is this in comparison to what? And by the way, I got a theory that actually no fans in the ground had a massive impact. I think at the time we tried to play it down, but I think it made a massive impact on every team. Anyway, and but he won an FA Cup. He came through that and he won an FA Cup. And I think winning the FA Cup, and he didn't just win it. It wasn't just some plucky, happy FA Cup. Wow, we somehow got over the line. He was tactically very, very smart in both finals. In the semi-final and the final, he beat Liverpool in the Community Shield, which I guess counts for something. And so we grasped onto that. I was like, well, he's got the silverware. He's done that. So there's got to be something to that. And I think people were willing to then push through. And that second half of the season, when he got Odegaard in, Smith Rowe developed, you definitely saw Arsenal. They went away at Villa, and they were not Villa. They went away to Leicester and they won 3-1. Leicester, a very good team at the time. They went to Chelsea and they won. There were performances and things in the way we were playing that started to make sense. And when he got the opportunity, spent 150 million, and after a poor start, things have basically been on an upward trajectory since then. With Gerrard, I agree. Has there been that moment where you're like, well, that's the moment where we clearly saw there's a really good manager maybe there, and I think if there is, it's his Rangers stuff, not a Villa. The Villa fans I know wanted him gone, but I can't say I'm an expert quite on how he's done there. But anyway,
and like Jordan said, winning the Scottish League title isn't really the best platform to tell whether a manager can come into the Premier League and transfer that success into success here. Very, very, very different circumstances, and he found it tough. Even down to his star boy, well, not necessarily a boy anymore, but Coutinho. That's where he hasn't started the last couple. Where he didn't start the last couple under him, and that's come full circle from Gerrard coming in, Coutinho coming in, hitting the ground running. Oh, amazing what Gerrard's done already, to what we're seeing more recently. Southampton, gone.
Sorry, I know it's not an Aston Villa podcast, but they've got a good squad. Villa have got a top 10 squad. If you go through their squad, they've got some good players. So he's massively underachieved there as well. So, and my concerns around Tielemans and us signing Tielemans are similar to what I see with Coutinho. He's another person that I call a 1 in 4 man. Those kind of players, they give you 1 man match performance, 2 average ones, and 1 poor one. And I think that that Coutinho signing was very expensive as well. There's a lot of money they paid on him. Is a similar concern I had and have around us signing Tielemans, but that's a different topic for a different day.
We bring up the table since we're about to move into predictions. Everyone got a point. I think Lee went 2-0. James went 3-2.
I'm 3-2. Yeah.
2-1.
Wow. So Lee, you You were close. If Jesus
Yeah,
was one of them away
I
on
was
Mark
agonising close. I actually thought I went 1-0. So when Eddie had that shot there, and I went unlucky, Eddie. You know what I mean? And I realised now that,
It was
it
an
could have
unlucky
been like
afternoon.
it could have been like the way it was. But yeah, listen, getting close. I think you all predicted that they'd score PSV, didn't you? So there you go.
I was really
All right,
disappointed
Lee.
in them.
I'm just saying, like, what I mean, just saying.
Go on. Instead of just saying, give us your prediction, mate.
I've got a little feeling that we're gonna win big on 3-0.
Ooh,
Straight in. Cool.
wow.
3-0, James. Can you go one better?
2-1 Arsenal. But I think it'll be one of those where like we're 2-0 up and then they kind of maybe get one late, maybe a nervy end. Yeah. No idea why I think that. Just for the sake of being different.
2-1, 3-0. 3-1 Arsenal. I'll go with 3-1. I'm like you, not too sure why I'm giving Southampton a go, but I just think 4 out of 5 clean sheets away from home is sounding too good to be true. So let me just
Yeah,
add
I know
that
what you mean.
goal for Southampton.
Credit to the defense and to Arteta.
Yeah, 3-0 Lee, 2-1 James, 3-1 myself. Jordan.
Well, Lee and Turkish, you'll be glad to know that I won't be replicating your scoreline predictions this week. I'm a little bit like James in that I don't quite know how to predict this game. Actually, I don't really have a scoreline. I'll go 1-0. I'll go 1-0 at the moment. We're in a bit of a 1-0 roll at the moment, so
It's guaranteed now not having 1-0.
That's the 1-0 run done.
For once, I don't actually know what I think with them. So I'm I'll just go 1-0. There's no logic or reason behind that. Just go 1-0.
There you go, people. Jordan's gone 1-0. I've gone 3-1. James has gone 2-1, and Lee has gone 3-0. Another clean sheet there. Sunday, we have the game, Southampton away, 2 p.m. kickoff. We'll be back after that one and before.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm still going to go into comment of the week. I haven't forgotten.
Right, okay. I thought you was going off
He's
there.
a pro, Lee.
Oh,
He's a
what's
pro. He
going
knows
on
what he's
here,
doing.
man? Haven't we been doing this long
I
enough?
know. I am so sorry. I've got to realise that Turkish is the pro here. I have to admit that. Sorry.
I do want to actually. Wow. Let me just explain to all our wonderful podcast listeners what's going on, because of course this show is available on all podcast platforms now. Lee's top of the predictions leaderboard on 15 points. I'm second on 14. Turkish on 12. Jordan somehow on 11. Never ever predicted a correct score. But fair play to him.
We'll get there.
And Lee's now been moved into Turkish's hosting position because
it quite suits me. I've got to say that. Like, you know what I mean?
It doesn't.
I want Turkish back.
It feels strange. I don't like it.
Yeah, you just like being on top of me, Jordan. I know.
On that note, back you go, mate.
Right. Okay.
Old Turkish didn't like that. He soon jumped up back up there, didn't he?
Go on, Lee. You got the comment of the week as usual.
Well, me and Jordan had a little chat about it. We've gone for 2, So the first one
is the comment of the week. It's comments.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Comments. So we've gone for 2, With Jordan's wild predictions, I rather he pricks us finishing outside the top 4. So we actually finished in the top 4.
That's a bit
good point,
harsh.
Actually.
No, it's not a good point. My predictions aren't even that wild. What's been wild? They're not wild.
No, I like that one. That was from Morris. From Morris Atina.
Get out of here, Morris, man. No, I'm not having that one.
We like Morris. This one is from Joseph Jessam. I fucking love these 4 awesome gooners. Robbie is lucky to have them. And Cecil is on side as well. So,
so
Cecil made the cut.
So on that note then, Lee, if Robbie's like the Arteta and he's got a really good crop of young or good players, Who were the four of us?
Just change the young bit.
I don't know.
You could have gone with that.
I could have. Yeah, I don't know. Who would the four of us be in this Robbie Lyle
that's a
squad?
good thing, you know what I mean?
Robbie's Kroenke first and foremost.
True.
Okay.
Okay.
You got James.
Well, you'd have to be Shaka because no one likes you. You know what I mean? Like,
No, everyone loves him now.
Yeah, they do now. Yeah, so yeah, that's true. That is a good out of the four. Who would we put? We'd have to be the front four, wouldn't we?
Nah, let's give this to the comment section.
Oh no!
All right.
Let's give this one to the comment section. Let us know.
I look forward to getting Philippe Senderos. I love to Philippe Senderos. Always welcome.
No, it's got to be the current squad. It can't be like
yeah, it's got to be this squad. Yeah,
like and not on what we sort of bring to the team. Yeah, that's what it is like.
I think I'm Tomiyasu because I'm reliable, dependable, 7 out of 10 every single week. You know, I do my job in and out. Team play. No, James is giving me a face.
You wish you were Tomiyasu. Oh.
I think I'm
Conga.
Cool, calm.
At least said he's
Saliba.
Aye.
Oh no. Not a chance.
Good on the ball.
No, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Jordan just went, I think I'm the best defender in the squad. I think that's me. I'll take that.
Well, that's good because you said you was Cristiano earlier on. Like
you did, yeah.
You know,
well, no, I didn't say I was Cristiano.
Yeah, you did.
I was
you
late.
said you was the goat of this podcast. Is exactly.
I said I was late, and I said like Cristiano Ronaldo. Sometimes you've got to, make you got to adapt for the people who you're working with, and I'm one of those people.
Mate, you'll be out in January as well.
You'll be gone in January.
Sharoy will be in Jan. I'll be gone.
Basically, you said like you wanted to be treated like Cristiano.
I'll storm off this podcast now.
You're done. Who's Turkish?
Who's Turkish?
No. Who do you want to be to? We've actually both said Tomiyasu. Gonna go for Ben White, the good-looking, dashing one, like you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I'm thinking Jesus or Partey because this shit will all fall off if I'm not here. So
This is the most.
This should be a Bamian because he always turned up late. You know what I mean?
If I speak, mate,
they're gonna. You think the comments are gonna come in being quite nice? Oh, actually, I think Lee's a bit of a cacker.
I'm hoping that they will be.
Absolutely not. They're gonna absolutely roast us, and rightly so.
One of you three are getting Rob Holding, that's for sure. I don't know which one of you three it is, but
I'll take Rob. I got you.
I won't.
We'll find out next week. But listen, we're gonna wrap it up here, people. Hope you guys have enjoyed another Forever Arsenal podcast. That is episode 19 for the season. Love for the love as always. Hit the like button and give us your thoughts, predictions, lineups in the comment section below, as well as, who would you liken us to? Like Jordan said, player-wise, to Robbie's Arsenal or Robbie's AFTV. Let us know in the comment section below. Big up James, Lee, and Jordan as always. Big up you lot as always, people. Love for the love. We are out.